my son was 2 weeks old when I decided to quit my job, and everyone thought I was losing my mind. No plan, no safety net. And on paper, they were right. But to me, staying felt way more dangerous than leaving. And I want to talk about that because I think most people who want to do something different are just not being honest with themselves about why they haven't started. They'll say it's money or timing or the market, but I've watched tons and tons of people stay stuck for long enough now to know exactly what it is. And really, it's fear wearing a costume of logic, or what we're kind of raised to believe is logic. And fear is clever in that it doesn't show up and shout, I'm afraid. It shows up and says, well, I'll do it when the kids are older because that makes more sense. Or I'll do it when I've saved enough of a nest egg. Or I'll do it when the market settles, or when I feel ready is probably the biggest one. And I said all of those things for years. And here's what I want you to picture. Imagine someone standing on the edge of a diving board, perfectly still, arms by their side, staring at the water. They're not resting, they're not thinking. They've just been standing there so long that their legs start to shake. And the longer that they stand there, the harder it becomes, because the waiting isn't neutral. The waiting, it has a cost. Every year you spend talking yourself out of it is a year that you will never get back. And the year my son arrived, or when my son arrived, 2 weeks old, something really shifted for me, because it wasn't just my life I was thinking about anymore, it was his. And I realized I was about to model something for him that I didn't believe in. Stay safe, stay comfortable, get that steady job, stay somewhere that turns your stomach every Sunday evening, because at least that's predictable. And I did not want that lesson. So I think that was the biggest driver in me quitting when I did. You know, a really steady job that I could have stayed in till I was 65. I had a mortgage and I had a wife who just stopped working and this 2-week-old baby in the house. So again, on paper, a lot of people were right when they said I was crazy. But there's something else that was hard to explain, but I feel like I can explain it better now. There was a feeling inside of me that literally the most important people in my life could have sat me down in a room and said, please don't do this. And it wouldn't have mattered one tiny bit, because my feeling was stronger than the argument. So nobody could have ever convinced me not to quit my job at this time. And I think if you're watching this and you have these feelings brewing, you already know what I mean. You don't really need convincing. You actually need permission to trust yourself, to trust what you already know. But here's what I know about those first few months. First of all, the moment when you hand in your notice and feel that relief is one of the greatest feelings ever. But those first few months are not as scary. They're not scary in the way people usually imagine them to be scary. So they're not financially scary, but they can be psychologically scary, because when you remove yourself from a structure that kind of confirms what you're worth, or what, you know, gives you a number and exactly what you do and when to show up, you have to start to figure all that stuff out again from scratch, from a completely different template. So that discomfort is real, but here's what that discomfort will also do. It's going to build something in you that employment never ever could. Because inside a job, the feedback loop is broken. You work hard, somebody else decides what that's worth. Somebody else decides if you stay, somebody else decides when you're done and when you can go home. But when you work for yourself, the feedback loop is so direct and so clean. You get better and you earn more. You solve problems and clients come back. You build something and it belongs to you. So all your hard work and you're figuring things out starts to compound for you. If you think about it like a farmer, and every day they go out to work on the land and they plant and tend and put everything back into it. But then the harvest goes to somebody else. Somebody up the road comes back and takes all the share. Somebody who never did any of the digging or the planting or the hard work, they enjoy the benefits. That's what employment is like. So now imagine you own the land, the same effort, the same hours, the same work, but the harvest is yours. Every seed you plant compounds for you. Every good season builds on the last one. That's what changed for me. Not how hard I worked, just who the work was building something for. In 4 years, I've been able to more than double my income of what I was earning in my last job. More importantly, I work less. I work 5 to 6 hours a day. I have time for my family. I have flexibility. And that is more important. First of all, that's more important than any amount of salary, to have that flexibility, to have the ability to be there for my kids, to have real relationships with my kids where I'm there every evening and every weekend. And when they need me on sick days, wherever it might be, that flexibility and availability, completely priceless. And I'm not extraordinary. I was never the most talented person in any organization I worked. But the only thing really that made me different was that I was the one who took an action, a small action. Like I know leaving your job sounds like a big action, but in the time leading up to that, I'd started to take smaller actions, reaching out to potential clients, seeing if this was something I could go and do. Could I sell services to people by myself? Just small actions to try and create some proof. So I want to ask you something honestly. What are you waiting for? Because if a man with a 2-week-old son and a mortgage and no clients and no plan and no entrepreneurial skill or expertise or flair, whatever you might call it, if that guy can go and start with one action, timing was never the problem. It's never, ever going to be the problem. I promise you that. There's never going to be a time. And you don't need to have it figured out. You just need to do one small thing, one client, one job, one piece of outreach. Make that first step, force yourself to make it, and then make another one and another one. They can just be small, but the compound effect over time of those small actions, and I'm still seeing it as I continue on this journey 4 years in, just keep trying to do, make small steps. That's all it took for me to see things completely differently. And you'll only ever regret how long you waited. I promise you that.